In 1944, the Western Front of World War II became the stage for one of the most lopsided technical rivalries in military history, the American M4 Sherman versus the German Tiger I. To understand why American crews were forced to develop the intentional miss strategy, one must first look at the sheer technical disparity recorded in historical archives and technical manuals of the era. The Tiger I, or Panzerkampfwagen VI Tiger Ausf. Was a masterpiece of heavy engineering designed to dictate the terms of engagement from distances that Allied tanks couldn't even dream of reaching. According to historical technical specifications, the Tiger's frontal hull armor was 100 mm thick, while its turret face featured a massive 120 mm thick mantlet. This armor was not sloped, but its sheer thickness and the quality of Krupp steel meant that the standard 75 mm M3 gun found on the majority of American Shermans was effectively useless. In official firing tests, it was noted that a 75 mm armor-piercing round would fail to penetrate the front of a Tiger even at point-blank range. This created a tactical crisis for American armored divisions during the breakout from Normandy. The Tiger was armed with the 8.8 cm KWK 36 L56 gun, a derivative of the legendary 88 anti-aircraft gun. This weapon could penetrate 110 mm of armor at a range of 2,000 meters. In contrast, an American Sherman crew had to close the distance to within 500 meters or less just to have a chance at the Tiger S side armor. This led to the grim 5-to-1 rule often cited in veteran accounts. The belief that it took 5 Shermans to take down a single Tiger, with the expectation that several Shermans would be lost in the process. However, the German military doctrine, known as Truppenführung, emphasized that tanks should never operate as isolated units. The Tiger was part of a Schwere Panzerabteilung, heavy tank battalion. These units were precious and expensive, so they were almost always accompanied by Panzer Grenadiers, motorized infantry. The role of these infantrymen was to act as the eyes and ears of the tank. Because a tank crew's visibility is severely limited when buttoned up, with hatches closed, the infantry screen provided protection against hidden Allied anti-tank teams. They would march in the dead zones of the tank, the rear and the immediate flanks, where the tank's machine guns and main cannon could not easily reach. This synergy made the Tiger nearly invincible in a static defensive line. American crews realized that to kill the Tiger, they first had to kill the system supporting it. The heavy armor protected the crew, but it did nothing to protect the infantry standing 20 feet away. This realization shifted American tactics from tank versus tank to combined arms sabotage. Did you know that during World War II, American tank crews sometimes had a strange tactic, deliberately missing their first shot? It sounds crazy, right? Why waste a perfectly good shell, especially when you're in a life-or-death situation? But there was a clever reason behind this seemingly counterintuitive move. Picture this. You're an American tanker in a Sherman tank. You spot an enemy German tank, maybe a formidable Panther or a Tiger. You know your Sherman's 75 mm gun might struggle to penetrate their thick frontal armor, especially at long range. So, what do? Instead of aiming directly at the enemy tank, you might aim slightly short, firing a high explosive shell right in front of it. Boom! The shell explodes, kicking up a massive cloud of dirt, dust, and smoke. This isn't just for show. For a few crucial seconds, the German crew is completely blinded. They can't see you, they can't aim, and they're probably wondering what just happened. This moment of confusion is your golden opportunity. While they're disoriented, your Sherman tank crew uses those precious seconds to do 2 things. First, the driver floors it, repositioning the tank to get a better angle, maybe hitting the enemy's weaker side or rear armor. Second, the gunner quickly reloads, but this time with an armor-piercing round. By the time the dust settles and the German crew can see again, your Sherman is in a new, much more advantageous position, and before they can react, your gunner fires the second lethal shot. This tactic, known as the intentional miss, was a brilliant example of using psychology and terrain to your advantage. It turned a potential disadvantage in firepower into a tactical victory. It wasn't about wasting a shot, it was about buying time, creating confusion, and setting up the perfect kill shot. A classic case of fighting smarter, not just harder. Thanks for watching. If you found this piece of history interesting, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more untold stories. See you in the next one. The final segment of this historical incident involves the psychological and long-term strategic impact of these tactics. The intentional miss wasn't just a way to kill a tank. It was a way to break the German armored doctrine's spirit. Historical records from captured German officers often mentioned the frustration of losing high-value heavy tanks to cowardly infantry attacks or lucky, flanking maneuvers. They didn't view the miss as a strategy. In reality, the American strategy was a perfect application of the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. American crews observed the Tiger's armor was impenetrable, oriented themselves to the infantry weakness, decided to use HE shells to clear the screen, and acted by flanking the now blinded vehicle. This methodology turned the Tiger from a predator into a victim of its own heavy design. According to Wikipedia and military archives, the Tiger WWII's mechanical unreliability also played into this. The heavy weight caused frequent transmission failures. When an American crew used the intentional miss to clear the infantry support, the Tiger commander often had to make a split-second decision: stay and fight a blind battle, or try to retreat. If they tried to retreat quickly without infantry guidance, they often threw a track or bogged down in the mud, leading to the crew abandoning the vehicle. This is why many Tiger tanks found by Allied forces were actually captured intact or scuttled by their own crews. They hadn't been destroyed by a shell, but by a tactical environment they could no longer control. By late 1944, the introduction of the M4 E8 Easy 8 with the 76mm high-velocity gun and the M26 Pershing began to level the playing field in terms of raw firepower. However, the lessons learned from the intentional miss remained the gold standard for Sherman crews. The most effective weapon isn't always the one that hits the hardest. It is the one that changes the rules of the game. The legacy of these encounters is still studied in military academies today as a prime example of asymmetric tank warfare. It highlights the importance of the combined arms approach. A tank, no matter how thick its armor or how large its gun, is only as strong as the soldiers standing next to it. When American gunners aimed at the ground instead of the steel, they weren't just missing a shot, they were winning the war.